Back 97.7 the city. We're here in the studio. I'm Gabby San Miguel. You already knew that because I'm here, like sometimes when I have guests to come here. But I have here, oh my God, Carlos Gallardo as a guest here in the studio.
Bravo.
And I will give an introduction, but I wouldn't know how to start because you've done everything: producing, acting, directing, screen, everything.
Writing one time.
Yeah, sweeping the studio, like everything.
Yeah.
Okay. And
selling the popcorn.
Selling the popcorn, and also in all the categories, like you've done thrillers, you've done action, of course.
I love action.
Well, yeah, who doesn't? It gets you in the great mood, like when you see Las Tripas, like everywhere. It's pretty good. So, what are you doing here?
Well, I'm in a festival that I. What's the festival? I forget.
It has a lot of letters.
It's got too much letters.
South Texas International Film Festival.
It's kind of long.
It's a long one, but you get used to it once that they give you a free T-shirt. We wouldn't mind a free T-shirt, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
But yeah, or a hat or something. No, but they invited you so you can, be closer to people that like to be in movies and all the stuff, because you started like super young.
Yeah, I was 24, I believe. 24, 25.
But you like it since you were 6.
Yeah, so when I was 6 years old, I knew what I wanted to do. And most people in Hollywood, when I speak to stars and people that have great careers, they say the same thing, that they started when they were either 3 years old or 6 years old. So it's very interesting.
Like when the other kids, because that happens, most of the people that work in this business, that while the other kids were playing like ball or Barbies or whatever, I was doing what were you doing?
When I was 6 years old, I was thinking, how could I film my little mischievous things that I would do in the backyard? And I started thinking like that at 6 years old, and not until I was 12 years old that my dad borrowed an 8mm camera. He did have a camera that he used like in the 60s and even in the 70s, because we do have 8mm little movies. I haven't seen them, but they're around the house. And so he borrowed it from somebody else, and then I used it, and I shot my first little scene that lasted, I think, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was a scene taken from Escape from New York, where Snake Plissken sits down and he's talking to the cop. And the cop tells him, you're gonna do a rescue mission for us. And he goes, and for the president. And Snake Plissken goes, the president of what? Anyways, that little scene I did, but guess what? There was no sound.
Well, just put a cartoon así como que las películas mudas,
And then when I met Robert, I showed him that little film that I had done, and then all of a sudden we're watching the little, because we're projecting it, and all of a sudden it turns like it, because when you take pictures you can turn the camera.
Yeah.
And we're like, what happened there? But then Robert showed me something that he did, same timing, maybe he was 12 years old.
Oh my God.
And it was also 2 minutes long, but it was a little cartoon made out of clay, like Gumby.
Oh my God.
And I was like shocked, and I was like,
whoa,
this
animation
guy has a lot of talent. And he was 12 years old, and I was yeah, but he showed it to me when we were, I think, 13, freshman year in high school.
How lucky you are, that you go to school and find that friend that thinks like you.
I don't think it was luck. I think that it was destiny, because for some reason I got kicked out of school in 6th grade. No, in 8th grade, and then
Saludos a las monjas.
It was only for two days, and then my mom was really mad, and she said, we're sending you to San Antonio, Texas, to a private school. So I think it was destiny. I don't think it was luck. Well, I don't believe in luck, but it was destiny.
It's destiny, but also like it's most of the artists are like lone wolves. but then this time, you know, like you find somebody
Yeah.
that is, you know, like really like you, that is as creative. It has the same, you know, like not just amount, but the same taste for talent, you know, like for making movies and all that. Now this is a besides Robert Rodriguez, do you think there's another director that has influenced you when you're directing, or you say, no, I'm just gonna do it all my style?
No. At the beginning, you mean at the beginning of our careers? Yeah, Sergio Leone, George Miller, myself. Robert has other. Obviously, he's got his own list, but for me, it was Sergio Leone and John Carpenter as well, and George Miller, which is A Fistful of Dollars, Sergio Leone, Road Warrior, George Miller, and Escape from New York, John Carpenter's. Those were the. Now I didn't know anything about their background or how they made movies. I know John Carpenter's was very independent, very very independent, but I didn't know that. I learned that later, and I'm sure Robert knew that and read something about that, but I didn't know that until later on.
He was independent, and then he went very mainstream, you know, like after all the scary movies.
But still, his movies were low budget. Even like The Thing. That's one of I like that film a lot. The Thing with Kurt Russell as well. It was not very. It wasn't critically acclaimed. It wasn't very welcomed. And now it's a cult classic.
Yes.
Just like Desperado. I mean, and everybody, all the critics loved El Mariachi. But then Desperado, they were like, well, what happened here? You guys went commercial, which was we love that. We love what we did.
It's Antonio Banderas.
But later on, it became also a classic.
Yeah, because then you develop your own style.
Scarface was very...
Scorsese?
Scarface, yeah. No, Scarface was done... The director was...
No, was Scorsese?
No. It's the guy...
that's true.
It's the guy that did Mission Impossible, the first one. I'm bad with names. Okay, so that movie, Scarface, was not critically acclaimed, was not welcome, and now it's a classic. Another one, last I would mention, Blade Runner.
Oh God, yes.
Blade Runner, it was ahead of its time.
Oh, Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott. It was very slow, but it was ahead of its time on lighting. It was totally ahead of its time. So, not critically acclaimed. See, some words I can't say. But now it's a classic.
It is a classic, you know, like, because now whatever it is called movie is, you know, like, ¿cómo se dice? Mainstream now. Like, for example, you
know what? There's a lot of great movies that are coming out from let's say from Disney that are action. I bet a lot of those movies will be forgotten in 20 years. And I'm not criticizing the company. I'm not criticizing. I'm not against studios or anything like that. I'm very, very balanced in the middle. I'm just saying as an example. There's a lot of. I mean, Hollywood produces. I don't know how many movies a year. I forgot. But a small percentage. A small percentage last. Like Clint Eastwood movies, like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. They're still there. And I was thinking last night, wow, it was always a dream of us to do movies like that. Mm-hmm. And being here 30 years later, I just realized that it's the same thing is happening. It's this, I mean, we still have, because, you know, Sergio Leone movies, the first, the trilogy of The Fistful of Dollars, they still show them on TV. But they don't show so many movies that were done in the 60s. That are okay and they're good, but they don't show them because they're not that popular.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, is that happening to us? And well, 30 years we're here. It is happening.
There's a reason, you know, like why people's, you know, like with the big budget that are, you know, like the biggest movie of that year, like let's say Armageddon, and now you see it like, oh yeah, it's about an asteroid, Bruce Willis saves the world and he dies, blah 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 blah. But then you go, you know, like and see like another movies that they were lasting, like you say, that I could see over and over
like, let's
and
say
over.
For Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Die Hard, it's already a classic.
Yes.
So Die Hard would completely destroy Armageddon.
Yes,
That's a good example.
that is true. That is true. Is how about like this? Let's say weird movies. Yesterday we were. I was talking to Brenda. I want to say hello to Brenda, and I was talking about this movie that I just found. Like it's a movie from the 90s or 60s or something like that, from Luis Buñuel, and it's called El Ángel Exterminador.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
You haven't? You have to. It's like mind effing, and it's like basically in 1960. I think it was filmed in the 1960, but Luis Buñuel has like a very well. He was friends with Salvador Dali and Garcia Lorca. Entonces that will give you a hint like what kind of guy was. Like he was a surrealist, and he was also with the stories,
Yeah.
and that made him like one of the greatest.
Yeah,
Right
yeah.
now, that somebody that you can watch over and over. Is there a movie that you can watch like 100 times?
Oh, for me?
Yes.
The ones I mentioned, the Road Warrior, but I also liked very much the new Road Warrior, the one that he did called the Fury Road.
Yes.
I really like that. I mean, he did an extraordinary job. But yeah, the Road Warriors is for me is a classic. Escape from New York. I carry him with me in my phone. I have. I don't have a fistful of dollars, but I have Escape from. I'm sorry, I have Escape from New York and the Road Warrior. I only carry like I don't know, 15 movies, and that's it.
What would be like your favorite, since you love action, like, and you're a movie person, what will be, I'm sorry, but I'm not here to make the questions that they will make you in every other place. We're here to have some fun, for everybody to meet you and to know you better. And I know a person, when they told me what is their favorite movie, for example, or in this case, like I know that it will be impossible for you to say like, oh, this one, because like there are you work in
No, I think I just.
you do.
No, I mean
Well-
I've been talking about those movies.
Well, yeah, but you
Now maybe the latest movie that is one of my favorites, or I could say in the 60s, it was A Fistful of Dollars. In the 70s, it was The Road Warrior. In the 80s, it was Escape from New York, and in the 90s, it's The Matrix.
Oh, The Matrix,
The
like
first one.
the first one, of course.
And then after that, I don't have anything.
What do you think about the last one that they made?
No, it's. I mean, as a filmmaker, I understand what happens because
Well, yeah.
it's difficult. I mean, it is difficult to
Top.
try and bring another new story. So we've done this. I mean, we've done the same mistakes, but making mistakes and not realizing that it's a mistake, it's okay. It's acceptable. But making a mistake and still defending the mistake,
Yeah, no.
that would be like, okay. you have to understand that you did make a mistake, but that's fine. No, I enjoyed it, but The Matrix, it's something that really hit my psychology, my heart.
It made you
everything.
think, like, what if?
And I didn't, and it was very familiar because I had a dream in '97, the same, when he's unplugged,
Yeah.
and then he goes down that tunnel, and then he jumps. Well, he doesn't jump, but he arrives in this water.
Oh, yes.
The water part, I had that dream, and then I was like floating, and there was an alien type of scenario where they were trying to get me, but I was just floating, and then I got up, and then that year I started getting a lot into UFOs until I said, okay, this UFO is a little bit crazy. There's no ending, and I'm gonna be crazy, so I stopped. Just like when you start drinking a lot and you go, wait a minute, this is not right, and then you have, well, not everybody stops, but you go like, you have to stop. Same scenario. I got really into UFOs and all that, and then I said, no, this is not going to take me anywhere. This is going to make me crazy.
Yeah, you could get
But I
abducted.
had that same in a dream, and it hit me. It really, and I really understood the whole film completely. And I went to see it 5 times in the cinema, which is something that I don't do. I see movies once, and they have to be really special. Now the other ones, I sometimes I see them once in a while.
Well, I had to watch it because like it's Keanu Reeves. That's what is it? John Wick, basically.
John
you know,
Wick. Oh, I like John Wick.
I love John
I
Wick.
love John Wick.
Yeah,
But you see, there's
he killed a bunch of guys because they killed
your
his dog.
favorite movies, and then you try that, and then you go into, oh yeah, no, that movie I liked, and this movie I liked.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit of difference. But John Wick is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a scene using those same stunts
Mm-hmm.
in 2011 because we met J.J. Perry, who's now a director, and he showed us a little bit of that he was, and I was like, that's cool. I can, we can do that. We can do that just by training. And they offered the movie to somebody else, and I mean that type of action,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody else said no. I'm not going to mention names. And then when they made John Wick, that actor was like, "How come you didn't show me?" He goes, "Yeah, no, I did show you that. You just didn't want to do it."
Oh. As an
Too
action
bad for
fan,
him.
yeah, too bad for him. Like, honestamente, as an action fan, there has to be, like one action scene that make you say like, "Whoa!" Like for me, like I'm not an action person, but like there's an action movie that is called, I think it was Kingsman, and there's Colin
Oh,
Fleur.
the Kingsman.
The Kingsman.
Yes, I
Colin
think
Fleur
the
in a
first one I
church.
saw. Yeah, the church. You saw
Killing
that.
everybody with
But
free bird on the back. Oh my
But then
God.
it would slow down if I remember. I don't.
Yes.
I mean, it's not a movie that I would remember, but I do remember the. It's interesting you said the church.
Yeah.
But they used this thing about people just slowing down really slow, and then I like that stuff.
Yes.
A lot. But if I think that the Road Warrior, Fury Road.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you were going to ask me what stunts would be like for me. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Fury Road. A lot of the stunts there.
Where can we watch that one? Because it seems like you adore that.
And John Wick, obviously, yeah. I mean, those things. I like because in the movie, you see that everything's really fast, but
Mm-hmm.
once you start doing it, as an actor, everything slows down, which is interesting. Like I like in the Matrix. In the Matrix, I actually trained with Chad, the director.
Mm-hmm.
I survived on
Like-
a Saturday. I think we trained for 2 hours with a lot of people, with their crew, and they invited me. And everything, once you know how to do that, it becomes slower, which is interesting. But if you do it too fast, then you go into the realm of I had it right here. The action star Jackie Chan.
Oh my God, that's
Jackie
fast.
is faster.
Yes.
Jackie is 1 2 3 1 2 3, and the Matrix is 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, and Jackie is 1 2 3 4. I mean 1 2 3 boom boom 1 2 3 1 2 3.
Yes.
And it's all music actually. In reality, it's just music.
So you've been like close when they're directing those scenes. Like what was the more fun for you? Like to.
Well, they're hard. I mean, in Redcon 1,
Yeah.
we trained.
Oh my God.
It's on Instagram. I put them up. And if you look for there's a couple of stuff where I'm training, and we train. We used to train like for 4 to 8 hours a day. That is the part that is hard. You have to train and you train, and I got hurt. The shoulder is now okay.
What was the budget in that movie? Because I saw it zombies
I can't
everywhere.
you mean the budget? No, we can't talk about that.
Okay, we're not gonna talk about the budget because I was looking for that because oh my
nobody
God,
knows
this
the budget.
is
Nobody knows
a
the budget. Maybe in
lot.
10 more years we'll talk about the budget.
Okay, probably it was like another $7,000, and a lot of people that wanted to be in the movie.
It's a huge movie.
It is.
But it's I can only say that it's
You put all
another
England.
example of something that nobody else can do, and I think that Chi Kyung Chung and myself, which were the main brains, and we spoke about that specific film for so many years, and one of the things that I kept telling him is that you have to shoot a lot, just keep shooting, in order for when you go and edit the movie, then you have gold. You can edit it. I mean, the movie can be edited in probably 4 different. We could have 4 different movies.
Mm-hmm.
And the first cut of the film was 4.5 hours.
Oh wow!
So we had to. So then you start cutting, and you make everything. So the main editor was from 28 Days. Remember 28 Days?
Sí.
From,
Yeah, the one of the guy that
zombies?
wakes up and is full of
that
zombies.
editor saw it.
It's in England too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he sent the whole movie, because we had a lot of slow motion. Because I wanted a lot of slow motion, but that editor said, you know, it needs this and that, and then we, you know, she hired him, and he gave it what you saw. Even though we had like 4 or 5 editors. One of the editors was from Full Metal Jacket. I don't remember his name, but he worked with Kubrick.
Oh, Stanley Kubrick.
And Stanley Kubrick, and he told us, you guys shot more than Full Metal Jacket. And Kubrick is known for shooting like
you got on the
like 5 times more than any normal movie.
You got on the Get Back pickle.
And I was like, yeah. I like that.
But in some shoots, you know that it has to be, you know, like the golden shoot, like the first time, because it's gonna be a lot of blood, and then if you miss that one, then you have to, you know, like the guy has to shower, the makeup has to redo it, you know, like
the makeup lady.
Again.
The makeup lady. I'm predicting she will win an Oscar in, between that movie and 20 years. So I'm predicting it'll be before 36.
What is her name?
I call her Nushka, but she likes to be called Nush.
I'm going to assume she wasn't Mexican.
She is no, she's English. No, most everybody was English over there, except for me.
Yeah, you got this Texan.
Even Rodrigo is Irish, and I said, okay, now we're gonna do it backwards. Now,
yeah,
an Irishman, I'm gonna call you a Spanish name, Rodrigo.
And
my name was Reeves, like Keanu Reeves. My name was Reeves, and I'm Spanish. I'm Latino.
You are so Latino.
And then we did. I mean, the movie has a little bit of Road Warrior with the writers.
Yes.
But then we put a lot of stuff from the Day of the Dead.
Yes.
See.
I was like,
so I told Chi, I said, if this movie either is a success or a failure, they're gonna blame me. They're not gonna blame you, because I'm the bigger name here in this movie, and they're gonna see a lot of stuff that I like. My death was Chi Kyung Chung's idea, based on Platoon, a la Tarantino.
Yeah.
So if you remember Platoon, Oliver Stone, the actor, Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe, yes.
He dies very much like that, but we kind of took it to the next level.
Actually, that's what it really woke me up, because I started, you know, like I'm waking up like Snow White at, you know, like 9 a.m. And then I, you know, like, okay, I'm gonna watch this movie. Let's see what it's about. And it starts with these old images, you know, like very Oliver Stone and in JFK or Natural Born Killers, or you know, like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, those were a little
like
bit crazy.
Images and you know, like and different filters and different movements of the camera, and some of them had to do with this and this and that, but everything, you know, like all together give you the main idea. And that's not just the editor work that it was, you know, like amazing. That's director.
Actually the director. Yeah, she would have ideas that were not in the script, and that's what started throughout the production. That's where I started seeing talent. I was like, okay, that's very talented. That's very interesting. So I started seeing that part, and that is what a real talented director does. You know, you create, and when you have a problem like when you have a production problem, you have to solve the problem creatively.
Yeah, what is the worst of those problems that you say, okay, I'm gonna make a Mexican fix here, you know, like le voy a poner un chicle, or you know, like make it work when something that you thought that it would be impossible to fix?
Well, I mean, in the stuff in let me think of in El Mariachi, the suitcase. It was very, very old, and we watching the suitcase in real life, you go like, oh, this is not going to look good, but things do look good.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that I learned. The whole city, I was like really, this is like.
Where was that shoot?
En Acuña, Coahuila.
En
Mexico.
Acuña.
So I was like, I don't know. I mean, I've lived here all my life, and I wish we could have different. And once you put that on screen, then you go, okay, I was wrong. It looks beautiful on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
But because you're there, like in reality, sometimes a camera catches reality and makes it better.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes it's very difficult for directors that are technical to understand that reality can be transformed into a better realm.
Well, photographers.
So when you come here, like I told you, I was here in the studio, and I go, I could do Redcon 1, out there, that scene where the colonel comes in. If I would tell that to, I don't know, I'm just to a technical director, he'll probably go like, but no, how? Because you have to create every great director creates each scene in their mind first.
Yes.
And they're at nights, because Robert does this, I do this, and I'm like, I have to see the movie first, and because we love movies, we have to imagine something that we like and that is entertaining as well, that entertains us. A lot of 80% of maybe 90% of directors don't do that. Now,
Why?
I'm not criticizing directors. I'm just saying the reality of facts. And then you got 5% of directors that are extremely, extremely talented, and that's why they have great careers.
It's like, because like when you're making a movie, it is your baby basically. So it's very hard, like as a parent, like to criticize your own kids.
No, of
but
course.
you also want to make your kids better, and you also want to make like your kids successful and learn from them. Like for whenever you have your next kid, you don't want to mess it up. Like with the first one, right? It didn't work for me, by the way. I want to say hello to my kids.
Well, I mean, as a personal, I have one kid that is personal mine. Like it's completely my kid, and that's Single Action. And Single Action is an homage to Sergio Leone, and that's also based on Luis Donaldo Colosio, El Asesinato.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a fictional. It's fictional, but. When I see that film, there's a lot of angles that I go, okay, that's a bad angle. Okay, that's bad. Okay, so yeah, I do criticize, but then when I show most of my films to directors, they end up liking that movie.
Oh yeah.
So it's confusing. I mean, besides El Mariachi,
Mm-hmm.
they go, I like Single Action, and I go, really? Why? And I guess also sometimes we don't understand the whys. But it's interesting. A lot of directors I've shown, look at Bandido, and look at Bravo, and look at this other one, and they go, well, the one that we liked was Single Action, and I go, really? Maybe I don't know. It's a mystery.
It is.
Chi Kyung Chung, he was one of the first ones that said, this is in 2011, I think, or 10, November 2010. He said, Single Action is the one I enjoyed. Your work, your acting. And I go, really?
You did everything on that one, right?
Yeah, on Single Action I did.
You directed, you wrote that one?
Yeah.
Now,
but I did have a director of photography.
Uh-huh.
He is now passed away. He was my age. And he did a great job. It was shot in 16 millimeter. I think that but it was not made. We did have a small crew.
Mm-hmm.
We did have him as Ricardo Padilla as the director of photography. He had his crew of lighting people, and we had two girls for wardrobe and art direction. They did both stuff, and one makeup girl. So we did have a small little crew, but we still made that film for $11,000. Now, I always mention, if it wasn't for that film, I wouldn't be here sitting with you, because I wouldn't. I would only make excuses about directing, about filmmaking, and everything without even having the experience of doing it. Yes, I did El Mariachi with Robert. Yes, but he is credited as director. Yes, correct. But Single Action puts me in the category of a filmmaker because I did it. I just showed the world that you can do, and for $11,000.
Where was your
that is something, again, that I was trying to save the actor, and it ended up saving my film career, not just the actor's career. Yeah, nobody can come and say, well, you know, you didn't. Yeah, no, I directed Single Action, and it's an $11,000 movie. But we can go through it, and I can explain to you what we did and everything. So, because a lot of people still don't believe that El Mariachi was $7,000.
I'm still shocked about it. I mean,
and we did another, and Robert did another $7,000 titled Red 11.
Red 11. That's
and that
another
was
scene.
Another 7,000. I mean, it's mostly shot in a studio, like in a controlled environment, but it's still $7,000. I did my scenes in a weekend.
Really? In Red 11?
In Red 11, I did my whole scenes in one weekend.
Now let me tell you, I found those two movies in Tubi, so you don't have an excuse, to watch good films. Okay, I watched Redcon 1. You can just check it on Tubi over there, and also Red 11, check it on Tubi too. And I noticed that they are made like 1 year apart from each other. Both of them start with red, both of them end with one,
that
so
was
it
just
could be
a
confusing.
Coincidence.
It is coincidence, and it has nothing. When you were talking about it, I thought like, well, maybe it's the second part or something like that. No, it has nothing to do one with the other. One is a thriller, from what I know, and the other one gave me the heebie-jeebies with the zombies, they're running everywhere. And by the way, going back to the to mariachi, is that you the one that jumped in the front of a bus?
Oh yeah, I got
Jesus.
hit. I got hit. Now the bus was coming.
It was one of the old buses, like the hard ones. No las de plástico.
Well, it's a school bus. Just it was painted in blue. We didn't paint it. It's a school bus that they use in the maquiladoras.
Yeah.
But the bus was coming at around 5 miles an hour. But I told the driver, I remember saying, like, whatever happens, just don't stop. Just keep going. Don't stop.
God.
I had practiced once, but when we shot, I was like, okay, I'll just wait 1 more second and then I'll go. And then it did hit me, but because we were gonna cheat it. So I just go through it like that, and then we just cheat it. But
yes.
But when it hit me, it just got me perfect. And then Robert, and then we and then we obviously we put the cameras inside, and the editing works out. But it did hit me, and I was hurting like for a couple of days.
Yeah,
I mean, it didn't. Again, the bus was not going fast, but it did hit me.
Yeah, because those are I remember those old, like buses. Those are really, really hard. And also that scene come right after that you were climbing like some wall or and running from the guys that were shooting.
And I'm putting I'm putting the guitar.
Yes. Primero la guitarra.
Now, if you guys see
priorities,
the 10-minute film school on YouTube. It's on YouTube. It's called the 10-minute film school. It's about El Mariachi, how we did it, and it's only 10 minutes long.
Chequenlo.
The first time I threw the guitar case, it bounced back because I didn't make it, and it's on the it's on the we didn't shoot anything take two. It was always take one.
Did you ever thought like, I'm not getting paid enough for this?
No, I knew.
Actually, I'm not getting paid.
I knew that it was. I was the one that knew that it was going to be successful. Obviously, the director, as a director, Robert didn't. I mean, he. It was his responsibility as a director, and he was a little bit like, well, I don't know, But I was always like, yeah, it's gonna. In my mind, I was like, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great, and it ended up being
a big success.
Better than what I thought, and better than what Robert thought.
Why this movie El Mariachi was so successful?
We were at the right time, at the right place when the industry needed for movies to be lower budget, because everything started with Die Hard in 80. I think it was 88, and they were paying them, I think he got like $5 million, so everything started going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Everything started going, the budgets were just going unbelievable, ridiculous. And at that, Miramax already existed, and they were just making smaller movies. But when we came into this is why I think this is destiny. We changed the industry completely. But by example, if you go into my Instagram, Carlos Gallardo Instagram, Chris Nolan talks about El Mariachi, and talks about that he was very inspired by El Mariachi. And this is Christopher Nolan.
And you're like,
and then at the time, obviously, and also the special effects we used.
Yeah.
People say, oh, they were like too gory. Well, let's not forget, we took that from the 60s, from Peckinpah, from the Wild Bunch. And now you see the Wild Bunch, it's got a lot of slow motion and all those effects. And back then, again, the critics were not welcoming that film very well, and it was critically negative for the Wild Bunch. But now the Wild Bunch is a classic.
Yeah.
So fast forward to El Mariachi, same scenario with the big splashes and everything. And Quentin says that in the 80s, or in the late 70s and the 80s, the movies were not gory, or they were not, and it also, I have it on my Instagram in the top, like those little things you put on the top. Not the stories, but they're like the highlights.
Yeah.
And Quentin actually says that Reservoir Dogs came in, El Mariachi came in, and then we built that bridge that didn't exist in the 70s and the 80s, but it did a little bit exist in the 60s with Peckinpah.
Yeah, I noticed that, like Robert goes a lot, like to the border movies, like a lot of Chuch Marine. Then he brings Banderas to make Desperado. It was, at the time when I realized I like guys who never take a shower. He looks like super hot. And Salma Hayek, like, who has, like one of her greatest breakthrough, like, and have her, like spicy accent, like that makes.
I think that Salma, the break was Desperado, and then she did From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh my God.
But I still insist that what got her to the next step was Fools Rush In.
Oh yeah. Well,
Fools Rush In with
Matthew
Perry.
Matthew Perry, the friends.
That movie then
she wanted to romantic.
The industry said, okay, she's now bankable.
It's still talking about, like a romantic comedy or whatever. Is there any genre that you would like to explore, that you say, like, I haven't done documentaries, romantic comedy?
I did a little
horror.
I did a little pilot called Agent 88, and that character is insane. My character is it's insane. It's dark. It's dark comedy.
I need to watch that.
But the reason that it worked is because the director hanged out with me a lot, and he was observing me, and sometimes I say things that he was like, I can't believe you said that, Carlos, and for him it was funny. So he understood what I could do, and he brought it out of me as a director, and that probably is something that could be done with me, but but a director who needs to observe me, we need to hang out, and then he'll us together as an actor and director, we can sculpt the character. That would be interesting.
Because as a writer,
because I did the pilot. I mean, it's a small scene that I go.
Where can we watch that?
I think it's on YouTube. It's called Agent 88.
Agent 88.
Yeah.
Okay, that's gonna be in my list. Of things
And
to watch later.
It's like a, I don't know, 10 minutes, a 10-minute film or 15-minute film or less. I don't remember. But yeah, that was a good experience as an actor.
Like it was something
and
different.
And then it's very cocky, which I've done the cockiness on the pilot of Curandero, but then we changed the character again. So the cockiness I can play. I did it on a pilot, like a 30-minute.
Curandero is a series or is movie?
No, it's a movie.
It's a movie.
No,
Who
but
directed?
I didn't do the cocky character in the movie. I did it on the pilot. But the new director, Eduardo Rodriguez, wanted for me to do something a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, fine. I mean, you're the director. This is your movie and your responsibility. So if it's good, is your get credit. If it's bad, is your get credit. But so I haven't played that cocky guy.
But it has to be fun.
No, it is fun because the way I play those characters is that sometimes I catch myself being cocky in real life. Because somebody else in the 90s, somebody told me, you kind of like cocky guy, you're like very cocky, and I didn't know what that meant. And I do have the essence of that. If you don't speak to me, and if I'm just like quiet, you'll judge me as a cocky guy, and that's fine. The only thing is that the camera likes those characters, like the Clint Eastwood characters, like the Road Warrior characters. Those characters in real life, they might transcend to be very cocky, but the camera likes that stuff. So for me, it works as long as it works for camera, that's fine.
Es lo que vende, like we say.
Yeah.
And when you're also a writer, like tell me if this happened.
No, I like to. I never consider myself a writer. Just like I told you, Steven Spielberg wrote Jaws, and then he was like, "Well, no, I'm." So I don't consider myself a writer. Writing is very difficult. I also respect writers a lot. It's a difficult journey, but I like to develop. Like you give me something, you give me a great idea that you have. I might be like, wow, that's a great idea, and then I'll find something to make it better.
Like, have you ever woke up from a dream that say like, oh my God, that's a great idea, I need to write it down?
No, not from a dream.
Really?
No. From somebody else's ideas, then I'll be like, okay, I would let's add this, and that.
What if you do
and
this
then I make
and
it
then
better.
if you make it like that? Yes,
with Robert it's kind of difficult because Robert would have great ideas, and I'll be like, okay, how that was too good. I was always concentrating on details. Like I like little details, like when the camera kind of
like the tight shots.
Like if we're here, and then all of a sudden you cut to something like in El Mariachi we would cut to the dog. So detail. And Robert, I remember Robert used to be, Carlos, you're detail. Let's do this. But then I'm all about detail. I really love detail. And Redcon 1, there's detail there. There's detail. Not as much as I wanted to, but there is detail.
Redcon 1, if you blink once, you miss something important.
That's why
fast.
Redcon 1, the great, and again, great movies cannot be watched once. You have to watch them at least 3 times, and then you go, wow, I didn't catch that, and I didn't catch this, and I didn't catch that. I think that great movies need to be watched 3 times.
Like Life of Brian, because I don't understand the British accent sometimes, and I have to watch it like 5 times, and then I found George Harrison in the. The
reason I watched The Matrix 5 times, it's not because I wanted to go and watch it. I got it in the first thing. I watched it obviously throughout the years, but I would take people
to watch
to try and wake them up. And some of them didn't get it, obviously. Some of them were like, and some, we're all different. Our brains are just different. We're all different.
It makes you think that what if it's like real, and then you're like,
it is.
It is real.
In reality, it is real, but like, whether you choose
30 years later
to understand how real it is,
exactly,
or whether you just go about your life and you just.
But what it says here,
I'm an observer. I really observe everything. I really like to observe a lot. If I would be just a worker, I'm pretty sure I would direct. But I'm more of an observer. That's why I like acting, because acting is a lot of observation.
You need
And
to
then
observe.
and then developing is a lot of observation. Producing, like I love to produce and be in all the pre-production. That's why within the team, the producers, some of the producers' jobs is also the office stuff, like taking care of the office and everything. I already did that. I don't enjoy that. So we had a woman producer, which was amazing.
Yay.
Iowana, her name is Iowana, who produced
Iowana.
who produced Redcon 1, and she was great at everything. She took all the problems that we had, and then once the movie starts, I become a creative producer. So I'm always with the director by him. Like I was always by his side, watching what we were filming, and okay, try to put the camera. What do you think? Oh, I think this. Put the camera down. All this stuff. That I enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, because when you're a producer, you actually have to. You're the responsible for everything.
Yeah.
Like that.
And still, they at the end they asked me, do you want to be a producer now? Because I also was a little bit of a financer in that film.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I'll keep the executive producer, because then if I become the producer, then it's gonna be like, oh well, Carlos produced it.
Yes.
So I'd rather give you guys
The credit.
the credit. But I had I could have executive producer and producer. Those two credits I could have had.
Like producer, like let's call it that. Producer is for the one that like puts the money in, and the executive producer is the one that is like, okay, this is what we need, this is what we
It's
gonna
when
do.
you execute stuff.
Ejecutar todo.
And some executive producers in Redcon 1, there are
the same,
a bunch of them, but they were like finances, and they were like dealing with more money stuff and trying to bring in money. That's also an executive producer.
It's really well done, because it was all shooted in England.
Yeah, I mean, but not just one location. We had like, I don't know.
Did they like you in England, because you made guys a mess everywhere?
At the beginning, I didn't want them to know who I was, because then people start getting but they started finding out who I was little by little, because I'm also the second unit director in Redcon 1. And one of the things that I did was I would sit on the meetings, but I wouldn't speak. I decided, I told the director, I'm going to sit on the meetings, but if you ask me my opinion, I'm not going to tell you my opinion. I'll tell you separate on your own, but I'm not going to talk. And I did that for other reasons, for other personal reasons, and it worked for me. I found out that actually I should have done that a long time ago, but it worked for me because nobody knew what I was thinking, and nobody bothered me, and everybody was kind of like okay, we don't know what he thinks. We don't know how he would react. So everybody left me alone. The problem with humanity is like once they get to meet you, then they take advantage of you.
Yeah.
Once they get to meet you, they then criticize you, and they think they're smarter than you and all this. And that's what humans do, unfortunately. So I didn't allow that to happen on that set.
You're Mexican, so do you believe in like things like el mal de ojo, or the negative energy or stuff like that?
The energy, yeah. And
like when somebody, have you ever felt like when things are really
I can
going
feel
really
people.
good,
I can feel them.
And then they say like, oh my god, you made a great movie, but you're feeling that they're stabbing you.
Las intrigas.
Los intrigosos.
Las intrigas.
You've seen a lot of telenovelas.
Las intrigas.
How long
I don't really like the reason I don't like them is because of the drama. And I said, if I see this, when I was little, if I see this, I'm gonna become dramatic.
That is true.
And I wake, every morning I wake up with a smile. I don't remember ever waking up mad. Probably going to bed mad.
Yeah.
But never, ever, ever mad.
When you wake up.
Yeah.
Because
and that's one of the things that It's one of the things that it surprises me with women that I mean my relationships
Yeah.
that I never understood. Why are you mad this morning?
Because I had to wake up.
I never got it.
Well, it's
And they would get mad because I'm always happy.
like, what are you laughing at?
I'm too happy.
Why are you so happy? What do you do? You probably did
like
something.
right now, I still my mind. It's really interesting and weird to try to understand my age.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult for my mind to because I don't act like my friends that are well, not my friends, my colleagues, because friends I have 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
My colleagues, and I don't. They just
Es que es
they're
boring.
just different. No, I don't know how to explain it. And it's very difficult to be in this body that is aging, obviously. But still, my mind, I'm like 25 years old, I think.
Because like you
Not immature 25 years old, but
no,
probably because I've evolved mentally
Yes.
very much. But I still have the essence of a 25-year-old guy.
That's finally the reason why you waking up happy, because you finally understood, like your conscience that, wow, I'm blessed, I'm awake, that's amazing, and I have like a roof on my, like things that seem so simple, like at the beginning of your life and that you don't appreciate, it becomes more appreciative, like later on your life. And that's what it makes me like, oh my God, I'm waking up, like, and I have a gato here and cat here, and yay, I mean, life is beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's like what is giving you like not just a reason to get up and like say hello to the world, good morning neighbors, but also like to, okay, what am I going to create today? Because you're a creative person. You cannot stay still like, okay, I'm gonna watch TV.
I was just gonna go into that. I'm more still though.
Really?
Yeah. I'm more in the past 4 years. I'm more. That's the only one thing that is different. That I can be more still. That I can be more. If I'm at the house, I couldn't be in. Like in LA, I would go to. I would drive. Even though we had a gym, I would drive to a Gold's Gym because I wanted to get out.
Yeah.
Now I do that probably once a week. I do get out and I drive like, I don't know, 400 miles or 500 miles and go to another city or whatever. But I can be more stable, like more. That's the only difference that I see. But mental wise, like if somebody comes and starts like, hey, let's, hay un dicho en español.
¿Cuál?
Que dice, si sabes que el niño es necio, ¿para qué le mueves la cuna?
Exactamente. Now people say,
si me mueven la cuna, no, hombre.
Si ya saben cómo me pongo, ¿para qué me invitan? That's the new one, right?
Exacto, y sí, porque a veces esa parte de mí existe.
¿Para qué me mueven el tapete?
Sí, esa parte de mí existe.
And that's beautiful, never to lose that, because then the day that you say like, ya no tengo edad para hacer
Pero
esto.
Pero también es peligroso, ¿eh?
But it's fun. I can tell you that. ¿Cómo estamos en tiempo? ¿Estamos bien? Life is beautiful because remember, like he does everything. Okay, también probablemente les compone el techo de su casa, llámenle, because he can do everything. He fixed everything. Yesterday when we were in the, ¿cómo se dice? En el teatro y no se apagaban las luces, I could see him like doing like, I'm just going to unscrew those lights.
Yeah, that's what I told the guy. I go, don't those lights need to, he goes, well, if we turn those lights, then all the other lights go off. And I go, production 101, you should have thought about that at the beginning. What would I do? A couple of weeks ago, I would be like, okay, we need to unscrew those little bulbs and just have them dark all the time. Because I mean, it doesn't. It's just when everything goes dark, those bulbs at the back of the theater, they stay on, and I go, that's but again, that's my creative side,
What?
How do you fix a problem creatively? like that.
Exactly. Now that's another thing, like when you start making movies and everything, do you think that you can enjoy a movie like everybody else?
Yes. I
How
go
do you do that?
because I remember I'm an actor, so I go and I put my actors. I watch movies as an actor.
Yeah, but
Because as an actor, then I'll be watching the film, enjoying the film, and say which. When I was younger, I would always identify with the lead actor. Now I'm identifying either with older lead actors or interesting characters.
yes.
But if I want to sit down and really put my producer's hat on, then I change, and then I'm there studying the film. Which one of the latest films that I've been studying lately it's Blade Runner. And Blade Runner is not really difficult to do.
The new one or
the old
first one? The Ridley Scott.
Yeah, it's not really difficult nowadays to do that type of lighting. But when I talk to some of the directors of photography, they go, "Oh no, that is impossible," and it's actually not. I mean, the impossibility is in your mind because you see the movie as this. It's a big movie. It's Ridley Scott, and in fact, if you see the behind the scenes of Blade Runner, Ridley Scott actually made them creatively. He kept creating and creating, and every day there was problems, and they didn't have the budget, and that lighting thing started to evolve. It was not. It was not really planned. So it's on YouTube. It's on the behind the scenes of Blade Runner, and I would recommend for any director of photography to watch that. And when I speak to some of the director of photographers, I go like, no, but let's just pretend. When I say, "Oh, Blade Runner," you think of the whole movie, and I'm thinking of little pieces. And I said we can do a room and have the end of the room with some type of bluish light, and then another part of the room over there with some green or red, and then you create, and it's very simple. But they don't allow themselves to expand their mind. Now, again, there's directors of photography that are technical, and there's a very small percentage of directors of photography that are creators and very talented. Emanuel Lubezki, I met in Like Water for Chocolate, and every time he would place the angle of the camera and the lighting, I remember him as if it was yesterday. He would be like, "Oh my God, look at that! Oh, Alfonso, come here! Look at, that is passion."
It's beautiful.
That's passion.
He's like a painter. Like in like what a painter can make. Like we can see the woods, but then come the painter and give it a different light and
Emmanuel actually, from what I saw, he probably put the camera on the angle. He was probably responsible for that. For me and Robert, we decide the angles. We decide where you put the camera. And the director of photography for us was more like, help us with the lighting, make this
La
beautiful.
iluminación might be a challenge, in that area.
It is. But I'm saying this is in our minds when we were younger. We didn't know. We thought that the DP was very much the lighting. It's like, make this beautiful. But then we learned throughout the years that a lot of DPs in Hollywood also place the angles, which is, it's not, we don't, I mean, for us it's not, I would always be like, okay, no, I have to put the camera where I think it's gonna be. And you know what I mean?
Move.
And then if there's something else that you want to, I'm not saying nothing against directors of photography. I'm just saying the way we work or the way I work
is different. Like they
Robert
each have their
nowadays
style.
is his own director of photography. Yeah, he once upon a time Mexico he was the director of photography.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, and then he's done that for after all that. I mean, he's been director of photography ever since. I don't know if it's in Alita. We haven't spoken a lot about Alita. I don't know if he did have a director of photography. I don't remember. We haven't spoken about it later a lot.
Because like both are like super busy.
No,
all the
no, because
time.
when we meet, we just met like a couple of months ago, and we were talking about Hypnotic, which I really like, and we were talking about Red 11, and we hadn't seen each other like because of COVID and all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
So it was a good reunion.
Like,
And we love food, you
friend.
know. He loves food, I love food, so it was a good meeting.
it was a good meeting as long as it has
But we
good
text
food.
a lot. We text
That's
once
great.
a week, or if I have something to tell him, or there's a idea, or there's a picture that I saw a picture 2 days ago. Somebody was wearing Escape from New York. I took a picture and sent it to Robert. I go, look, Escape from New York.
They send each other memes?
It follow us. Well, no, I took a picture of somebody was wearing the T-shirt, and I took a picture of that T-shirt of somebody was there
Sí.
on was it Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday.
When it started,
Yeah.
yes. What day is today, by the way? Is it 15 or 16?
Today's Friday, right? Is it Friday?
Is it
today?
15? Viva Mexico! Okay.
Oh, really? Today
Yes, you're Mexican,
Oh,
so
look,
you have to
make
celebrate.
Make a wish. 333. Make a wish.
Oh,
Ooh,
make a
this
wish,
is this
okay.
is like this is
Okay.
really like.
There you go.
So
Well,
on the 6th, I always get confused. So do they celebrate tonight or the whole 16? El grito se hace
grito.
en la noche
They're
hoy.
celebrating tonight. They give
Well,
the-
So tonight is like the big.
Let me tell
I
you.
always get like confused. Not that I don't know. I just
Because
don't look
you-
at the dates.
what had happened was, okay, this is what happened. Like the Cura Hidalgo, they were preparing all the independence movement, but then they got caught.
Yeah.
So el corregidor, like the corregidora's husband, he said like, okay, we're gonna stop, like abort, we're not gonna do anything. And then the corregidora, she said like, no, what do you mean abort? No, we're gonna do this. Of course, it had to be a woman like empezar a alborotar el gallinero.
Yeah.
They call el cura Hidalgo. So on the 15th, that's when it happened. He went to ¿cómo se dice? La catedral de Dolores Hidalgo. Y agarró, a ver, bueno, what is here on the hand? La Virgen, órale. So, se llevó el estarante de la Virgen y se fue para arriba. And then, they tell us that it was like around midnight. That's why we get to celebrate it on the 15th until the 16th.
is where
Where it
most,
started.
most parties are on the
Oh, yeah.
15th. And I, for some reason, I thought it was like these 16
But
at
we're
night.
Mexicans. We take several days. I mean, have you been in a quinceañera? It takes like the whole weekend,
You
man.
know, I don't.
You have to.
I'm very bad with. I used to. I used to go to a lot of, weddings and all that. But I don't know. I don't like any more, like parties or weddings
gatherings.
to attend. Yeah, I don't like them. I don't enjoy them at all.
Why
I'm
the-
very like. I don't know. I
Social
think
anxiety thingy.
a little bit of that, I think. And then my mom didn't understand. He goes, well, you're an actor. And I go, yeah, but if you put me on stage, it's different.
Yeah.
It's a whole different scenario. And that's one of the things that a lot of people that are not in our business understand. It's like, well, you're always like, out there with the public. And yeah, but it's different. It's different. It's not... when we are entertaining, that's one thing. But if being part of an audience is a different scenario.
Like
I go to the movies I try to go to the movies by myself and sit
Yeah.
like by myself and enjoy it. Obviously, after COVID, I haven't done that. It kind of like screwed everything.
But do you like to go lunch, by yourself?
But I like to go in LA. I don't like to go here in Austin or Dallas or
It's
San Antonio.
fun.
I just don't like. But LA, because LA, they love movies. And then I go like around 1:00 where there's no people, and I grab my popcorn and I watch. And then usually there's no people. In Canada, I used to live in Canada for like 6 months. And I used to go at the last show, like at 10:00.
The
And
last
it was freezing because I was there from January till May, and every 3 or 4 days I would go to the movies.
They used to have permanencia voluntaria, remember? When you can stay, like all day in the movies and nobody will kick you out.
Really?
Yeah.
Where?
In Mexico.
Canada?
No, in Mexico. They used
Oh,
to
in
have
Mexico.
That.
No,
Yes.
no. I mean, most of my life I spent like high school years in San Antonio, Texas, and Del Rio, and then mostly in Del Rio. So being in the border town, it was mostly in Mexico. I have family in Mexico City, but we would go, when we had vacation. I haven't been to Mexico City since 19, I think. 2019.
See, before the COVID.
19, yeah. I was there in March, and I remember I almost made it. It was March, and people are already wearing
having
masks.
Really?
On March.
Wow. Because it didn't hit us until the 20. Basically.
No, it didn't hit until April. But I was there. I was flying back in March. I don't know, 12 or 15 or something like that. And then you get to be mostly on your house. So I think that it taught me a lot. Some of that taught me to be like, okay,
you finally met yourself. Like
I'm like, okay, I can be in a house that has this or that, and and then I started seeing that I would be in the house like for 3 days or 4 days, and I'd be like, wow, that's interesting. I was never been like that. But I guess that's also part of the age on your process of your body. I guess I don't. But the mind is still running. We're
switching to another era. Okay, well.
I'm trying to see if they tell me. What time do we need to be there?
3:37 now.
Yeah, so we gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta wrap it up because today we still have.
We'll come back tomorrow. Do another one.
See, it goes
Part 2. If you guys want to, I can come back tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna be here at
and then
Chal.
you can just cut it, and then just.
See, we can make it a series, no problem.
Yeah,
because
you can make it a series.
So many stories.
Because we spoke so much last night about a lot of.
Yeah, somebody asked me, how are the shorts? I don't know. I was outside in the lobby, like echando el chal, like how we say, like a lavadero.
Well, I was trying to give you
as
much information as much stories and information.
So. It worked. We won't repeat the half of them, but it doesn't matter. Like the ones that we cover here, they're amazing because it's the point of view of one of the most successful persons. Like talking in a level that like we all can understand. By the way, as like final was for today, what will you say that if somebody says like, well, I want to make a movie, but all I have is my phone. Like, do they have like? Do you think that if they get like enough how do you say creativity, if this person is creative enough, that person can make it, like even when the resources are limited?
Say that again, please.
Like if somebody with limited resources but is very creative, okay, what recommendation will you give that person?
I don't think
they can make it. I don't think
that person would need my recommendation, because if he's really creative, he would be already doing it. Well, and that's a fact, and that's a reality.
That is true.
And it's very bad that I have to be very straight to that. But maybe what would I say? Practice. I mean, make little movies like we did.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Nowadays, you have a camera right here in your hands. It's called a phone. Our movies didn't have the phone quality
that our
movies had, and we presented a movie in Sundance, made in 1984, and we presented to it in Sundance, and it was the quality that you get now on the phone. The quality that our movie had, it was much, much less, and it looked great. But again, the reason they loved it is because it had great music, it had great editing, great directing, and we did it. Robert and I did it. And it's called Ismail Jones and the Temple and the Eyes of the Devil. But anyways,
we're gonna check on that one, and also
we're 20 minutes, so we're good. So if we leave now, we'll be at the other pickup.
And this is McAllen. This is not like Houston or San Antonio when you have to go to everything. You can drive.
I'll be back tomorrow. If you guys want me, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll keep talking about this filmmaking.
Mi casa es tu casa.
This is very interesting.
Es a joke, pero es tu casa. Thank you so much. 97.7. Stay tuned, and we're gonna have some more of this, like interview in intervalos. We can do Spanish tomorrow.
Tomorrow, we're going to Spanish tomorrow, yeah.
Vamos a hacer mañana en español para que lo entiendan mi gente de allá de México, okay? Because we transmitiendo a todo el mundo.